you know that the person you might?
Mike Miller, 400 Lake Antoine Road, Iron Michigan. On the 23rd of April, during a finance meeting, Commissioner Wender said, "You can't talk sense to Mike Miller. He can't pound on the board and then ask us for money." Here's the CD, just in case I got it wrong. In a conversation we had just before that, you said something very similar on the phone. And you'll recall that I said that I chose to believe that you didn't mean what you said. And maybe that's what you meant when you said there's no talking sense to Mike Miller. Because I admit it, I didn't get it. In 22 years in the Marine Corps and 16 years as an officer, I never heard anybody say, "If you want something from me, you got to be nice to me." I never heard anybody say, "If you want me to take that hill, you got to be nice to me. If you want me to rise out of this trench, you got to be nice to me." Henry, I have never heard a professional say that. Later on in a recent board meeting, when it was said by a resident that your comments about me were unprofessional, you said you didn't care if they were unprofessional. To all, and especially to the high school students that happened to be sitting there that night, you said two things. You don't mind being unprofessional, and you don't care about your relationship with county veterans. Aside from the obvious arrogance of that statement, I don't care if it's unprofessional, there's something more untoward by this pay-to-play expectation you expect from us. But now the veterans get it. We thought we were working with a professional, someone who claimed to support the veterans. We were in disagreement on whether or not the county had an obligation as whether they should support the veterans. Our council believed that it should be unconditional support. You thought otherwise. That's as far as that took from us. You took our position personally. I didn't. I don't know you well enough, Henry. I know you live down the road. I know you come over to the house. But I don't know you well enough whether or not that I could say whether or not I like you. My job is to represent the county veterans in veterans and concerns for the VA, no matter who's in my chair. Now I know that you're willing to be unprofessional whenever you feel like it. Now your statement, you can't pound on the board and then ask for money, it now makes sense to me. I now understand that you really believe that we and the veterans, their widows, and their children have to stroke your ego before you're going to give them their vote. First, even though you cut the veteran support by 67%, we just didn't know. We first had to tell you how much we appreciated that cut. So after you unilaterally withdrew from the support agreement, we didn't need to know how lucky we were to have you fighting for us on our side. And after you repeatedly ignored the Veterans Council request to sit and try to find a common solution, we should have been grateful that you forced a take it or leave it agreement on this council and just say, "Thank you, sir, may I have another?" I get it. I screwed up. I forgot to make you feel good, Henry. I forgot to pay you, Henry Wender, some quid pro quo, some you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back compliments in order to get what the veterans needed. I didn't know that's the way you operated. I didn't get that memo. So let me again remind you that veteran support, at least from our position, is an obligation, no matter who sits in that chair or who sits in mine. We need to put personal things aside and find a common solution. So before I leave, I've just got a couple of questions. How much money are you going to withhold from the hospital? This is my citizens' time, Henry.
You got one.
How much money are you going to hold hostage because you need to feel good? How many people are you going to keep from getting their support because you need to feel good? I need you to put a number on it. Please tell the 2,600 veterans, the 10,000 veterans' families, and the 28,000 voters in Dickinson County how many times you personally put their interest second to yours. And if you can't refuse or put that number on there tonight, I call on all veterans and their families to ask you until you can come up with a number. And if there isn't a number, Henry, if your statement is you can't pound on the board and then ask for money was misinterpreted, if your position is that you will not hold or did not withhold money for that reason, then stop your whining. Call the council, have Sonia call council, and set up a series of meetings so this county can find a permanent and long-term solution to the veterans. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. I got broad shoulders, people. I would like to address Mike Miller face to face. but he always comes, gives his spiels, and runs before anybody can talk to him. I had a long discussion with Mike. My problem with Mike was he was blaming the county board that he couldn't put on the veterans deal here at the courthouse memorial. And my question to Mike was, why can't you volunteer without your board, which he finally did. And we talked and talked and talked, and we got nowhere. If he thinks I'm against veterans, I have no reason to be against veterans. I had 6 direct relatives, veterans. One gave his life in Vietnam on Hamburger Hill. So I do respect the veterans. I don't know where he gets this idea. I don't like veterans. We cut their millage, but we cut a lot of millage. So with that, I got broad shoulders, and if he comes back and attacks me again, that's fine. I'll accept it. With that, a motion to adjourn.